Assalamualaikum guys, welcome to another FIGHTERZ video. This is gonna be a FIGHTERZ guide on 5 aspects of FIGHTERZ and certain techniques to improve in those regions. So this will help you to level up your gameplay and reach living legend lane without much effort and even beyond it. But I'm setting a boundary on living legend. These techniques will carry you to living legend in my opinion, and yeah, let's get into it. So first we're going to start with movement. For movement there are three techniques that I want you to be able to fully master. That is the forward dash, the IADs, both forward and backwards, and the backdash. So without further ado, let's get into it. The forward dash can be done by two ways. You can either do it by double tapping forward twice, or you can use the super dash macro by holding forward and just pressing the super dash button once, then holding forward you can still keep dashing. The super dash macro is actually a setting that is kept on by default, but you can change it in button settings. There is in simple dash. If you decide that you don't like it, then you can turn it off or on. It's up to you. With the double tap you have a greater control and less chances of making a mistake, but with the super dash macro, while it is faster than the double tap, there are chances that you'll get a misinput. But because other than forward, if you do any button then super dash button, then you'll get a super dash or something like this: back, down, up. So as you can see, except the forward one, that you can get a IAD like that. So henceforth it will be up to you as a player which one you're more comfortable with, but you have to be able to do the dash instantaneously, like after landing, then for round start situation, going for air stuff like that. So mastering the dash as quick and being able to input it as quickly as possible is a vital thing if you want to level up your gameplay as a FIGHTERZ player. So the next one is the IAD. The IAD backdash and IAD forward dash is a really important technique for movement. Like this doubles down as a defensive maneuver while in neutral, and the forward one to start your offense because it allows you to do safe jump. The reason for why IAD backdash being a defensive maneuver will be touched on upon in neutral in further regards, and why the IAD forward is an offensive technique also will be touched on in the offensive part. So for now, the way to mainly do IAD backdash is doing a succession of quick input by inputting up back and then back quickly. Back again like this. There are no other ways to work around holding up back and then quickly inputting back will give you an IAD backdash. So for the IAD forward dash, there is a shortcut to this. You can use the super dash macro to make your IAD easier. By as soon as you input up forward, you instantly press the super dash button, you will get an IAD forward dash like this. This is there. Henceforth, again, you have the chances of like doing something like this, super dash button. So henceforth, it's a bit of a risk. Again, with the manual input will be the same as the IAD forward dash by doing the quick succession of inputs up forward and then quickly going into forward. By the way, you cannot just roll your input like this. You have to go and then input again, up forward, then quickly again into forward for the IAD movements. Up forward, quickly into IAD, into forward for the IAD movement. You have to do it manually. You can only do the forward one with the macro, but you have to learn the quick succession of inputs for the backdash part. There is no macro for that. Onto the last one, the backdash. The backdash is a very important defensive maneuver. It allows you to escape a lot of situations that you have to hold. For example, we all know that vanish makes the opponent blast on a block, so they can continue to pressure you onwards, but backdash allows you to avoid that. Even like 4-frame reversal same as the vanish, you can also backdash those as well. As you can see, backdash is a really important tool. This allows you to efficiently put space in between you and then revert to neutral. From there on, you can punish or do other stuff. But the only way to do backdash is double tapping backwards as fast as possible. Without minimal delay, you have to do it. That is basically how you do backdash. So backdash learning is a very important thing. So we'll now move on to offense. So now with offense there are 4 things I need you to understand properly so that you can build an orderly offense for your team and for your gameplay. That is Blockstrings, Staggers, Knockdowns, and Mixups. So without further ado, we'll get into it. Blockstrings basically means putting pressure on your opponent without a gap. This makes it so that the opponent has to block everything that you are throwing at him. The entirety of your pressure, the opponent cannot do anything no matter how hard they mash a reversal or reflect. nothing will come out at that point because it is a gapless offensive pressure, and henceforth you are effectively making your opponent block the entire thing, forcing your opponent to block too. So whether they try a reflect, reversal or anything, they cannot do anything. No matter how fast the startup is, as long as this is true, there is no way that no matter how hard they mash, their reversals won't come out. So this way you can force your opponent to block and not give them a chance to get out game 3 by using reversal. So as you can see, because he tried to do a reversal, he could not do the reversal, and henceforth he got caught by the low. This is why a true block string is really important. Most characters in DBFZ have almost the same pattern of true block string, but just you have to know that which special or which button keeps you safe. The entire thing about safe, normals and data will be in the last section where we talk about understanding the game. You'll have to wait a little bit for what do we mean by safe and other things by that. Onto the second thing, the stagger. Staggers is basically a rhythmic gap in between your offensive pressure. This is done intentionally so that any attempt they have to mash will be caught by you, and this also allows you to put tremendous amount of psychological pressure on your opponent, because as we know, there are some really good offensive options for you have in FIGHTERZ going into a Jab Dragon Rush or going into low stuff like that. So when you do that, it's basically rhythmically slowing your offensive pressure a bit down. You're basically slowing it down, making it so that there are gaps in between them. So when they try to mash, so for example, if I said UI Goku to press light at the first chance he gets an opening, you can see that he will get caught by my offensive pressure. Any attempt of mashing or reversals, unless it is a one-frame reversal, the reversal is instantaneous, like reflect or a invincible move like a dragon punch, like for example Adult Gohan or Teen Gohan, won't be able to disrupt it. Even a UI Goku's 4-frame reversal or vanish attempt can be caught by stuff like this. As you can see, we are rhythmically putting a gap just by slowing the timing we press our buttons. Henceforth there's a gap, and so any attempt they do while, for example, they're mashing a 4-frame reversal like that, or vanish, or trying to press a button, by slowing it down you're allowing that button input to actually come out. So henceforth you are actually letting the command to go in because there's a gap, and henceforth we are using that gap to capitalize on the fact that they are mashing, and henceforth we'll be able to get a really good starter. For example, doing the second hit of the auto combo like that because they were mashing auto combo like that, as you can see UI Goku, UI Goku players in a nutshell, or any other future players. Staggering can also help you to negate off another defensive option, that is the guard cancel. For example, staggers like this will help you to block in time and not get hit by the guard cancel. As you can see, I can because I was slowing down my buttons, I was fast enough to recover because there was some delay in between the buttons, and I could recover easily. But if I were to do it fast enough, I couldn't block in time, even if I was holding like that. Therefore, staggers are this rhythm really helps you to keep much more in control of your offense. So learn staggers properly for your character. So yeah, that is staggers in a nutshell. The knockdown situations. So there are 3 types of knockdowns in FIGHTERZ, that being the soft, sliding, and the hard knockdown. So soft knockdown is basically when you do something like that and you don't get an animated knockdown where they slide on the ground. Sliding knockdown is something like this, where you get an animation like that and they slide on the ground for a bit, henceforth it's called sliding knockdown. So soft and sliding knockdowns have share some properties where you can choose how you take, basically how you get up from the ground. There are 4 directions: forward, backward, up and down. So a forward tech would be holding forward and we got up on our place. That is the forward tech. The back tech makes it so that we go back by doing a flip on our hand and we go a little bit back. The up tech makes it that so we go up into the air after we touch the ground, like in a soft knockdown. Just by holding up after you hit the ground, as you can see, you're up from the ground. And then by holding downward, you can you can delay the timing in which you get up. So this can be delayed to a certain extent. I think it's about 2 seconds that you can delay. After that, the game will make you automatically rise up. So that delay can be used to make it so that you can throw off your opponent's timing. This is a really good situation which you can use in both sliding and hard and soft knockdown. In both sliding and soft knockdowns, you just press the direction that you want to. If you want to take the same thing applies to sliding knockdown as it does to soft knockdowns. For the down tech, you can choose the amount of time. You can make it so that you delay for a short amount of time, or you can delay the whole amount of time. You do this by holding and letting go of down when you want to. Onto the hard knockdown. The hard knockdown is done. The hard knockdown is a situation where the opponent cannot choose how they get up. They only can get up off the ground within a certain amount of time. This certain amount of time is only applicable when you do a level 3, or when you spend 3 bars to do a cinematic super. So in a hard knockdown situation, they cannot do any type of text. You get up the way that the game takes you get up by getting on your knee and then standing up. There is no other way you can take up out of a hard knockdown situation. The timing for the person getting up actually varies a little bit, like maybe 5 or something frames. That is like just anything about half a second difference something. So almost all of the hard knockdowns are equally timed out, but the thing is that different levels will keep you in different positions. So by doing that, there is like the variation in how much OP or like how much pressure you get after a level 2 situation. So a hard knockdown is a very good way to like put your opponent in a situation where they have to get off the ground by the way you let them, and henceforth you can set up a guaranteed pressure, unlike you cannot do it in sliding, because in sliding they can choose how they get up from the ground, but in hard knockdown they don't have that liberty to choose. Henceforth you can get a guaranteed mix-up attempt apply on them. Henceforth a hard knockdown situation is really greatly valued. Onto mix-ups. A mix-up would be something that makes your opponent guess what you're gonna do. In this game there are mainly 3 type of mix-ups. Mainly 3 or more like 2.5. The first type that's mostly universal would be the high-low mix-up, whether you're going high, or the second type would be the cross-up or staying on the same side situation. You have to change up your block depending on which side they're on. So this is basically the main 2 ways of opening your opponent up, and the third way is having command grabs in your arsenal. So the universal command grab of Dragon Rush, that is that, and characters with command grabs can also mix it up with using their command grabs. For example, Zerebroli are a really good example of a command grab character. Their mix-up depends on that, depends on something like that. So mix-ups are mainly like this. So a good way to start your mix-up is by doing the IAD forward heavy or medium. Medium is a better option for most characters because you're able to have a higher reach. Also for cross-ups you have to use medium because generally they are the longest button in an arsenal for a character. Also IAD forward also helps you to do a safe jump. A safe jump is something where you do a jump, when you put pressure on the opponent at the time they get up, but they can use a reversal and you have time to block because you've already landed. IAD forward dash enables that for you. In fighting in fighting games in general, there is what you call 50-50 mix-up. This is basically meaning that you don't really know that where the opponent is gonna go high or low because they hit at exactly the same frame, both the high and the low. But Goku Black has another sort of mix-up that a lot of characters can do easily. For example, that is crossing up. Goku Black can do it while using his special like this. This is not an exact 50-50 because it's a bit slower than the high-low 50-50. Henceforth, it's although this is tougher to block because you have to be standing and making the right judgment, or if it is the left or right, you have to hold the block. Henceforth, this is a much more tougher situation than the high-low because you have to just react to mid or low. Henceforth, the side switch is a much more of a harder mix-up to deal with. The 0.5 mix-up category is the command grab category, where you have a really fast command grab that starts up almost that starts up as an unreactable speed. Henceforth you can use the stagger that we mentioned earlier and mix it up by using command grab. Because it's an unblockable attack, you can mix it up during a staggers and like go for a variety of options. Something you could do something like the cross up, or you could stagger and then go a low, and also something like this. Henceforth, the command grab characters have a really good mix-up option like that, where you can stagger your way into a command grab. Of course, you can keep it safe by staggering properly. As I can see that after doing the offense and movement, I'm already over the 10-minute mark and in 15 minutes and going above. So I'm gonna stop my video here. So I'm gonna break this guide into a 3-part video. In the next week, I'm gonna post both the defense and neutral and the understand the game in 2 separate videos. Those will be next week, so subscribe so you don't miss that. And tomorrow I'm gonna do a commemoration team for ranking up to God of Destruction. So come back tomorrow and watch and check it out. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment if you have anything, if you didn't understand anything, or if you have some questions. I'll definitely try and answer all of them. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe so that you don't miss the next 2 part video coming out. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.